that would include the United States, Russia, Japan, India, France, the European community, and so forth.
Yes.
The other, and China, I might add, would certainly be in that group. We need a core group of diplomats who will convene to promulgate a Mars Protectorate Treaty under the United Nations, because this is the first planet beyond Earth that we are visiting, besides the Moon, but certainly the first planet that we're visiting that we know of. There is an indigenous human presence there. It's a presence that we believe is related to the human beings that exist on this planet. And we're in a situation where we have even a distinguished American astronaut, Buzz Aldrin, calling for the colonization of that planet. So we are in a perilous situation in terms of protecting Mars from ourselves, and we need to begin that discussion in law and policy immediately. And so Alfred has already begun to sketch out some of the parameters of that treaty, and will be writing a major work in furtherance of that important law and policy development regarding the protection of Mars.
Mm.
The third thing I'd like to say is that I will be sharing with everybody the adventure that I had as a child participant in Project Pegasus. I'm sure that people will be entertained by that account, and perhaps they'll be educated, and maybe they'll even be enlightened. But if they leave the listening of my account with one thing, in other words, if my account convinces them of one thing, the most significant thing that needs to be communicated is that teleportation of human beings between distant points in the quantum plenum was achieved by the U.S. government 40 years ago and kept secret because it was weaponized. As a result of the fact that Tesla's papers were seized by the War Department and forwarded to the Los Alamos physicists, who were then gathered in New Mexico to build the atomic bomb. That technology may not just be beneficial in the 21st century, it may be necessary to save our planetary civilization from environmental catastrophe. And the reason I say that is, as human population grows exponentially, and hence pollution does, you need to have exponential growth in your pollution control technology to even remain where you are in terms of how much you're polluting your environment. What we've tended to have is exponential growths in population that have only been met by arithmetic growth in pollution abatement technology. It's the so-called cat in the hat problem in environmental law. That is to say, when human population doubles, you need to increase the efficiency of your abatement of pollutants into the atmosphere also by a factor of 2 just to stay where you are. And you need to have a qualitative improvement in pollution control technology just to actually remedy the environment. Now, if you look at the pollution that's going on in our global environment, for example, polluting the atmosphere, a large amount of it is coming, for example, from transportation that could be obviated if we were to introduce teleportation. I was even in a seminar at the end of my experiences in Project Pegasus where I essentially espoused the Al Gore, Roger Revelle position that conventional transportation and the activities that support it, like, for example, the production and burning of petroleum to create energy, is leading to a greenhouse effect that could change the global climate. That was discussed when I was a kid on Project Pegasus in 1972. Okay, 1972 was 37 years ago. And since then, because we didn't introduce teleportation after 1970, literally billions of tons of pollutants and particulates have entered the global atmosphere and now threaten to so occlude the atmosphere of our planet with moisture, for example, through cloud formation, that we may literally be pitched into a new ice age. Another scenario would be one in which global temperatures reach a new high level, and as a result of that, we have enough melting of the polar ice caps to so inundate the ocean with fresh water that the Gulf Stream fails, and hence the temperature exchange in the global ecology is altered or destroyed, and we have a deep freezing event as a result of global warming. Just as when your refrigerator breaks down on a hot July day and hot summer day in whatever hemisphere you're in, and you have an over freezing event from what was originally a heat source. Okay, so the coming global superstorm of Art Bell and Whitley Strieber, that scenario, may ultimately be upon us if we don't find a way to get these 6.5 billion human beings that are on planet Earth from point A to point B with either zero or far less emission of greenhouse gases. We can't just talk about global warming. I mean, it's great that Vice President Gore has waged the campaign and public awareness that he has. But now in the 21st century, we have to ask, what are the solutions? How can we change the infrastructure of our global civilization so that global warming is eliminated, so that whatever global warming results from natural forces beyond our control, or even just from natural forces that we would then try to intervene with to stabilize global temperature? I mean, the ideal scenario would be if we eliminated the trim tab effect of the global warming we're causing from human industry and transportation, and we were still confronted with a global warming event, for example, based on cosmological forces of where our solar system is. Maybe we're going through a field of supercharged particles in space that's heating up the atmosphere of every planet that has an atmosphere, in our galaxy or in our solar system or what have you. We still might be confronted with a natural global warming threat that we then have to find creative ways to abate. But since we know we're making a human contribution that's at least having a trim tab effect of pushing our situation towards disaster, towards planetary catastrophe, we have to ask ourselves, what are we going to introduce to get rid of planes, trains, and automobiles? And what are we going to do to create energy where it's free and it basically produces no pollution when it's created and when it's used? And that's the principal reason that I'm speaking out and telling the story of my experiences in Project Pegasus, because people hopefully will have this aha moment where they'll go, well, wait a minute. The transportation infrastructure of the 21st century emerged around 1970 under the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and it's been kept secret for 40 years.